Welcome to the Outdoor Adventure Channel, and today, the test and review of the GBC Dirt Commander Tires, coming up right now. Good morning, my friends. Truth be told, I started this review in my garage and then thought, who wants to watch me just yap about these tires for 20 minutes straight in the garage while I can just get them mounted, get on the trail and talk about them. Also, you might hear my voice in the background as I'm trying to talk, but just ignore it. I originally tried to record the audio through my communicator. That did not work well at all, so here I am doing a voiceover to get the information to you. So let me start by saying that it took me a little while to choose what tire to get, and that's because my needs are probably a little bit more unique than the average rider. So I think when I started, I went about it the same way that most people go about these things. They went on a forum, asked a question, and as I did, got an answer, and almost everybody in that forum unanimously agreed to get the Maxxis Zilla tires. So I pulled up the specs for those tires. Sure enough, the specs looked good, the price seemed right, the tread pattern looked awesome, so I ordered them. So I got these tires in, was pretty excited because the tread pattern looked awesome, but my friend recommended that I look deeper into the specs, and sure enough, the load capacity was pretty low on these tires. Being that my kids are going to be driving in this machine mostly, I didn't want anything that was going to be unreliable at high speeds or something that we're going to overload. So unfortunately, I did have to send these back. Luckily, I was able to return those tires without incident, and then I started looking for a new pair, and I know a lot of people like the Maxxis Bighorns, and I think I looked at 2 or 3 other kinds. If I can remember, I'll flash them up on the screen here. Pretty interesting fact that most of them did not have a high load capacity, and when you're considering my machine, which weighs 1,300 pounds without any fluids, that means by the time I put a driver in there, fill it up with gas and everything else, we're probably around 1,700 pounds without any passengers or gear. As if that wasn't enough to put into the mix, my machine is 500cc Arctic Cat HDX, and in fact it's only a 443cc, but with passenger gear and everything else, we've got 2,300 pounds in there easily. So I wanted to get a lighter tire, something that wasn't too heavy, because at 443cc, you can definitely rob some power if you get too heavy. The stock tires were around 21 to 22 pounds. Pair that issue with low stocks on almost every kind of tire, and my choices were very limited. I was down to the GBC Dirt Commander or a Maxxis copy called, I think it was the Sun F. I don't remember, I'll pop it up on the screen here. But they both had the recommended load capacity and looked like decent tires. What finally sold it for me was the combination of the 8-ply design and the weight of the GBC Dirt Commander. So we've got an 8-ply tire, and it came in at around 27 pounds versus 22, 23 for the stock. So we're still a bit heavier, and that's why we're testing them out today to make sure we haven't lost much power. One thing I also did really like about the Dirt Commanders is that their lug depth was a little bit larger than the others, and thought they'd be really good in some mud and in the snow, which we don't do a lot of mud, but you know, we do play once in a while, and if we have to get to the other side, we will definitely try. So speaking of mud, we were able to hit a couple of medium-sized mud holes, and we did it in 2-wheel drive to really test these tires out. And let me tell you, these things do really grip. They hook up way better than stock. So I'm going to roll in some clips from our day of riding. We spent about 4 hours out there and put on about 50 kilometers, which is, I don't know, 30 miles or so. And we put them through pretty much every basic trail test that we can find. We managed several hill climbs today. We found the steering was light and predictable, and the tires definitely did grip and get us up all the hills with no problems. We also managed to do a couple of descents as well. Very controlled, very predictable, and very stable. We managed to run through quite a few general trail obstacles today. Your typical bumps, a few pretty deep ruts that we managed to make it through, and even some dry drainage ditches, which were pretty steep. These tires handled it all like a dream. Absolutely no complaints. Very happy so far. So I'm going to give you some of my final thoughts here. After doing some research, we decided to run 14 psi in these tires to test them out. It seems that a lot of people are running them at that pressure, and we were really happy with the results. They ran really smoothly. We had no problems at all, and no unexpected or squirrely moments, as you might call them. Now, for all the mud lovers out there, these are not a true mud tire, but rather a general trail tire. Good for all terrain. That being said, the deep lug space, and these things do clear themselves out pretty good, did get us through some fairly deep stuff in two-wheel drive that we would not normally be able to get through that easily. So I'm pretty confident that these are going to be great in the mud, at least for a general trail tire. I was a little bit worried that these tires being heavier than the stock ones would rob some power, and we didn't find that to be the case. I'm sure there is some minor power loss, but we didn't seem to notice it on these trails today. Another point to note, the stock tires are actually radials and these are bias ply tires, so we were worried about the handling, particularly at higher speeds. I could tell you during general trail riding, steering response was actually much improved with the newer tires. One thing we do want to note, the Arctic Cat doesn't go that fast. The top end is around 41 miles per hour, and we had no general problems on gravel roads, but did notice that the steering was even lighter than usual. Just wondering if something that hits 60 or 70 miles per hour would have the same experience. So let's wind down the review of the GBC Dirt Commander tire. If anybody out there has this same tire, please write down in the comments. Would love to hear how they've held up over the years or any experiences you have with them, positive or not. In the meantime, I'm pretty sure we're going to be happy with these tires. We are going to take a trip in 2 weeks. We're going to do a little ride and fish, probably put about 100 miles on the machines, and we'll have a much better idea then. If anything bad happens, we'll update you. If not, we'll probably come back and do a 500-mile review or something like that, see how they're holding up. So until then, hope to see you out on the trail. Thanks for watching. See you soon. Take care.